Everybody say good morning to Sugar. Hi, Sugar. Good morning, Sugar. She's saying hello. She knows I'm talking to her. All right, she's not. She's nonplussed. So, anyways, I want to first say good morning. I started this protocol back in 2016, introduced it, I think, in October of 2016. And then it was in 2017 where everybody started taking notice of it. And my hair. So 2017 was when really people got to know the Jilly Juice, and that's when I started a 60,000 person group. And then 2018 was when the media got a hold of me. 2019 is when we really finally just smoothed out the rough edges and did more research, debunked the media, and now we're in 2020 and we're in the best place right now as far as Jilly Juice. So you have to understand with this thing, with this virus, I mean, I'm telling you, the universe knew something was going to happen in the future, and we needed to have something like Jilly Juice to give people some kind of hope. Because when you have all these different viruses, like the Zika virus, the West Nile virus, all these different viruses that are out there, and now we have this huge global pandemic. And the US is trying to downplay it a little bit because markets do get affected. I mean, Forbes says that this is a black swan event, which means that you never know what's going to happen now to all of your investments. So they're going to kind of just chill out on the fear campaigns. But you know that things get leaked out. You watch YouTube. People will tell you their side of it, what they're experiencing. And I'm telling you, we're no different. Some of us are no different than those that are over there in China. Even though China's a communist country, and most people are very unhealthy over there, but they've adapted to their surroundings. We have very unhealthy people here who've adapted to their surroundings. Could people here afford to be exposed to an aggressive virus? So what would make someone so communicable? I was watching this SARS YouTube video when the SARS virus came out, back in like 2002, 2003, and I actually went to China, which I didn't even realize, but they didn't have the internet back then. But if they did, I wasn't really doing anything with it. This stuff was on the news, but you hear the news, you're like, okay, another scary thing. I wanted to go to China, and I went in the summer of 2003, but the virus came out in like March of 2003. So I actually was right in the middle of the virus epidemic of SARS. And the SARS coronavirus, which was a very aggressive virus that escaped from the Wuhan, I think, or one of those provinces. And it was a professor that checked into Hong Kong. So Hong Kong actually was like the epicenter. Okay. And I was actually in Hong Kong too for a few weeks. So anyways, but he was the one that spread. He was like in his 60s or so, obviously ill. I mean, I would say like people aren't ill until they get exposed to a virus, and then they start seeing how their body reacts to a change in the environment. So when you are older, when you have major predispositions, compound predispositions, and your body is steadily aging and all of that, you get hit by a virus, it's going to run roughshod over you. You're going to experience a major accumulation of antibodies. And then what's going to happen is the body is going to try to release it, and you'll be coughing. So you'll be coughing, you'll be pooping. So it'll be in the sewage system as well as in the air. I was watching another show from these two guys that were reporting on just the way people live in China and the open air wet markets and just their daily practices. And I'm telling you what, I actually can corroborate because I was over there in China and I was on some of the in-flight plane, like the in-country planes from like Guangzhou, Guangdong province, all the way to Beijing, because I went from one part of China to the other. I mean, people were hawking loogies. They're like, spewing up sputum, spitting everywhere. I mean, you go to the public bathrooms, there's poop everywhere unless you're in a richer area where they have actual bathroom attendants. So people's excrement and all of their stuff is just out there. And then you're at the markets and they're open air markets, everyone's touching your food and there's absolutely no regulation on the food. So anyways, so people are communicable because they get exposed to an aggressive virus. This guy who is a professor studying these pathogens for whatever reason, he goes to Hong Kong completely just spewing everything out. He goes to the hospital, everyone's been exposed to him, he's touching doorknobs, touching everything. And that's where the SARS epidemic back in 2003 happened. Okay, so you got to know that if you are immunocompromised, no different than those over there in China that are dropping like flies. You know, I mean, right now we're containing it to some extent, but you're not going to know too much because remember, we're a capitalist society with shades of socialism, okay, with shades of communism too. So our American media, CNBC and our government is going to try to downplay the numbers, downplay the severity. And they're going to let people come in as they do, but they're not reports. I mean, they'll say, yeah, there's 110 cases that are being investigated on, this person tested negative, this person tested positive, whatever. But you're not going to know because we are also in the middle of flu season. We're in the middle of people dealing with cancer, disease, and chronic illness. So unless you get an honest reporting of people being tested and you're seeing that there's this case, or you're watching people around you drop like flies, it'll be hard to ignore. But if only a few people, just like the flu virus, if only a few people drop like flies, and it's going to target those that have major predispositions, immunocompromised, well, I mean, that's kind of just what's going to happen because we can't let society just fall from a few. We can't shut down commerce because a few people are afflicted. And so, yes, our capitalist society, because we got to keep things going, we got to keep transportation going, we got to keep the police force going, we got to keep everything going. So we're going to have to deal with and hopefully support those that are dealing with being afflicted by the virus, whatever virus it is. I'm telling you, a couple of weeks ago, I was hit by some kind of virus. I have no idea what it was, and everyone got tested. But one day, my body just released so much. I mean, it was like an aggressive attack that my body fought off, and it was one day. So you figure if I fought off some kind of aggressive virus and I'm pretty healthy, imagine someone who already has predispositions and major health issues. Imagine when they get exposed to whatever virus in the environment is very aggressive, what kind of number it would do to that person. And I had no headache that day, but it was just a coughing and a mucus. And I'm telling you, I was like in my washcloth. I think I went through a few washcloths where I would just blow my nose, it was just like I was pouring out, no stuffiness. It was the body was just releasing. And it happens when I see now that my body's working so efficiently that every morning in the middle of the night, I'm blowing my nose because it's the body's way to let me know that there's stuff in my colon that needs to be released. And so when I wake up in the morning, I poop, I also blow my nose and I clear the pipes. So that's what you have to do. That's essentially what Jilly Juice does. It clears the pipes because you want to have that communication between all points of your body so clear and so precise that you can recognize any change in the environment and you can adapt to it. That's the whole point of J Juice, is the adaptability to your environment and then your body working so efficiently that nothing can stop you unless something else out there force that overwhelms. And that's why we have the different agencies out there that will let you know if something is overwhelming the environment that's not going to be safe for the universal humans out there, or universally safe, okay, for humans out there. So you got to understand, okay, Jilly Juice is not going to be a cure. You're not going to be escaping the healing process, even though you're trying to build up a defense against being afflicted by the coronavirus. But remember, you already have predispositions. The coronavirus is just going to be the barometer to let you know how well you are or how sick you are. Just like any vaccine that you've ever been exposed to, it will let you know how strong you are or how weak you are. So that's why, if they do mandatory vaccines and you're doing Jilly Juice, do the vaccine. because that should tell you how it is your body is anyways. When you get exposed to a new virus with the adjuvants, because those are just minerals and bacteria and proteins, no different than what's in your food supply and in your air and your water and everything, okay? And then you'll know exactly how your body's going to respond to the jelly juice, because jelly juice is going to bring everything up to surface. You're not going to ignore all the things that you used to kind of push down and suppress through medication. You're finally going to see everything that you've ever dealt with as far as trauma and therapies and all of that. Okay, so so that's the main thing about jelly juice, is that it's not going to be a cure. It's not, you're not going to know if it's working, because you'll know it's working when you're in pain, but you're like, well, what the hell? I'm trying to take this for the coronavirus. But now you got to heal from the feet up, inside and out. And I don't know what main issue you have that's at the surface that you might have to deal with right off the bat. You guys know your family medical history. You know what you're currently dealing with right now. And so it's like you either roll the dice, get the vaccine, okay, if they have one, they don't have one yet, or roll the dice and be exposed to this virus in the environment and see if you survive, which I don't think the odds are very good for most of you out there. Or you roll the dice, not even roll the dice, or you do something like jelly juice and you deal with the healing process, because it's a sure thing. You just got to deal with the pain. But there are ways that you can kind of mitigate the pain if you have to go and do something, but you don't want to suppress the pain too much, because that would then defeat the purpose. You would undermine the whole point of jelly juice, which is to face the pain and heal. The prostaglandin hormone, which is the pain hormone that people are trying to suppress with drugs, is the main healing hormone that lets you know that the body is trying to heal. And when people are taking drugs and they're taking organs out, or they're putting creams on their body, steroid creams and everything, you're suppressing the healing hormones. When you're taking thieves oil and all these different oregano oils and all these different hormonal crystal healings and whatever, what you're doing is you're manipulating the body to then suppress the healing hormones. And so what it does is it acts like chemotherapy. It stops cell replication of the bad cells, but it doesn't discriminate. Anything that is a therapy does not discriminate against only bad cells. Also, the good cells are also under attack when you are applying something that quells or stops inflammation. Inflammation is antibodies. It's like when you put your body in a too high temperature, like in a sauna, you create inflammation or antibodies. Or when you're doing cryotherapy, you're creating antibodies and inflammation. And if somebody has stagnation in their filtration process and they're collecting antibodies, okay, then, and you have cardiovascular issues, and now you're thickening up the blood with all these antibodies, you could potentially die from a stroke, a heart attack, trigger an aneurysm. So you have to know that all of these holistic remedies and allopathic remedies and all these different shortcuts in the medical holistic industry relative to your predisposition could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because could you afford to take on another antibody that your body isn't releasing? Because remember how these viruses become communicable, because it comes out in your mucus. It comes out in your poop. When you're doing waterfalls on JJ's, you're releasing excess antibodies. You're releasing excess amino acids, fatty acids, bacteria, prohormones, minerals, and antibodies. Okay, so when you go get a drug test, they want to see how many antibodies from that drug are prevalent, to see if it was a recent exposure or something that you had a long time ago. That's the whole point of drug tests. So people do all these detoxes, try to clean their blood or try to hide it. Okay, but that's the whole point, is when you've been exposed to something that's causing your body to be imbalanced. Taking like a hormone, a steroid, when they check for all these different human growth hormones and all that, when you have too many prohormones, too many acids, too many minerals, that you will see an antibody. Too much bacteria the body cannot handle, or it has to encapsulate into an antibody. But then you have too many antibodies, it then agglutinates and turns into the virus yet again. All right, hold on a second. Take this off. Okay, so what is something came up here? I don't know what that is. I don't want that. Okay. Something weird came up on my screen here. But anyways, but yeah, antibodies is a way for the body to balance out imbalances of the biochemistry. Okay, so if you are doing all of these things to quell or to suppress your healing process, you are then causing more antibody accumulation. And then if you already have weaknesses and predispositions like a weak heart, weak lungs, weak all this stuff, and then you get exposed to the virus in the environment. That's what the SARS coronavirus, the corona is like a crown, okay, and it has these spikes on the actual virus, and then it attaches to the lungs, and it could destroy your lungs. It could also destroy your heart. So those that have weak hearts, these viruses could destroy you. You think taking all of your medication is going to stop a virus? No, there is nothing that kills a virus. Do you realize that? Do you know what stops a virus from destroying you? You strengthening your body. That's what stops a virus from destroying you, is you strengthening your body. So yeah. So anyways, you just got to know this. So anyways, I'm going to read this email to you from somebody because it's interesting. She says, "Hi, I've been wondering what happened to the creator Jillian Epperly and her product Jilly Juice, because I cannot seem to find any recently updated article on how the product has been affecting its users over time. What encouraged Ms. Epperly to begin the research of Jilly Juice? What motivated her to keep writing her book, even with all the doubts she had been receiving? I would like to clarify that I do not work for the press, nor am I affiliated with the YouTube or any of its users. I'm only inquiring because this concept interests me, and I'm intrigued by the mindset behind this product. Sincerely, the person." Okay, so here's the thing. The press is going to leave me alone because I know I'm right. Salt is not poisonous. Probiotics are not poisonous. Cabbage and kale are not poisonous, okay? And so anyone that writes an article about me, I would slam them and debunk them so quick in the press, they would look like an idiot. And if anything, they would give me more press, because I would just debunk everything they would say. I would counter and then basically say, hey, what are you contributing to the community and why? Wow, you look like you're aging. You're not exactly a representation of anyone that should have any kind of judgment on my product, which is not really a product, it's a recipe, okay? So you're not gonna find any recent articles because they're gonna leave me alone. They know that they're wrong. If anything, they made their money back then, because that's what it's all about, is money, you guys, okay? So if you want to know how people are being affected by the J Juice, just read my Facebook wall. I gave her the 3 main places of where I post my information. I gave her my Facebook page. I gave her my my business page, and then my YouTube account. So if you want to follow the progress of people, just watch my page. What encouraged Miss Epperly to begin the research of Jilly Juice? Because I had my own issues, my own problems that I wanted to deal with that was causing me to go down a very treacherous road. And I did not want to die in the system, because you can only run away from your problems, through either drugs or through different locations, but you keep bringing your issues with you because they are you. You are the one that creates your universe. You keep running away or keep blaming, then you'll always have the same stuff. So I knew I had to deal with me. And so I dealt with the conspiracy world and the holistic world. And then I realized that those were just 2 sides of the same coin with different, I would say, well, yeah, I mean, different packaging, but the same stuff inside. Okay. So what motivated her to keep writing her book with all the doubt she had been receiving? Because I knew I'm right, because it works. This shit works. How many of you are going to keep playing with all of the pills, powder, supplements, and detoxes and, and procedures? How many of you are going to how long keep doing that until you basically run yourself into the ground? I mean, that's the whole point of J Juice, is that you don't have to do that anymore. You're now going to build your body up to where you can handle anything in your environment, because nothing kills a virus. Strengthening your body is what stops a virus from destroying you. Weak people are going to succumb to any viral exposure. That's why they're so afraid. That's why they have to live in a bubble. They can't touch anything. They have to wear masks. They have to be in a bubble. Weak people have to be in a bubble, whether it's with all their friends around so they can go and bully somebody, or they have to stay indoors all the time because they can't go outside, or they have to wear such protective clothing because they can't handle the sun, or they can't handle the cold. They got to go move to like some really hot climate because they don't have the capacity to handle the cold. Weak people cannot adapt to their environment. They need to have a posse, and they need to have protective layers and all these different measures. Okay, so if you want to beat a virus from destroying you, you got to strengthen your body, mind, and spirit. Those are the three things. Gone are the days where, oh my God, like these Christians that are going to Iraq to go proselytize. Now I understand that Jesus has I guess given up his soul or something so you guys can have a life or something like that. But there's no sense in sacrificing yourself for your belief system. Okay, life is body, mind, and spirit on this earth. It's not giving up your life so somebody has access to this, or so someone has access to Jesus or something else. No, Jesus would want you to stay alive indefinitely. Okay, there should be nobody following her religion to where you lay down your life unless it's like, just, well, you can have a kid, you can have a family member that you're trying to protect because of a shootout. I guess you got to do it, but that's in the heat of the moment, and it is what it is. But hopefully you're not in those kind of situations where you have to lay down your life for somebody. Okay, if you're in a situation where you have to lay down your life for somebody, you got to question that situation. What happened that followed up to the point of where you had to make that decision to where you lay down your life for somebody? Okay, I'm not putting myself in a position to where I have to lay down my life for somebody. I will not be dealing with drugs. I will not be going into places where it's deep water with no life vest. Okay, I'm not going to put myself in a position where it's like I'm going to die at some point and I have to prove my love to somebody by saying I'm going to risk my life and give up my life to save them. Won't do that. That doesn't make sense. But there's always things that happen, but you do have ultimate control. So the whole thing with Chili Juice is body, mind, and spirit. So if you want to survive a viral outbreak, you got to get your body, mind, and spirit. Stop being afraid of Monsanto. Stop being afraid of bad water. Okay, I mean, if your water is that bad to where you see people are where you see it's really bad, like Flint water. Okay, yeah, that would warrant you to get a water filtration system or take up, vote for legislation to do something or in your town, or you move out. But if some president or somebody peels back EPA regulations, most likely they're going to give the minimum as far as make sure the water quality is relatively okay. But then the rest is up to you. And that's kind of a Republican way, is where you are now ultimately responsible for taking care of yourself. But we'll give you the minimum regulations and the minimum support. But where are you going to come up and be responsible to meet them halfway or most of the way? Okay, so you got to know how to adapt to the environment. I drink tap water now. Okay, I drink tap water. I have no fear. I'll drink bottled water. I'll drink tap water. I'm not afraid of the fluoride or any other like chlorine. I mean, I let it sit out for a minute to let the chlorine just dissipate, and then and the water tastes great after that. Okay, so my body now is so efficient that I can adapt. And if there is such an aggressive thing in the environment, whether it's a chemical or whether it is minerals or whether it's a bacteria, my body will adjust. My body will completely adjust to the changes in the environment, whether it's changes in the financial world, changes in the physical world and the environment, changes in my own body. Okay, but it's interesting, this last month, I've been sleeping a lot more this last month because I'm waiting for my period to come. Like, it's the 28th. Maybe I'll see it today, but I don't know. My digestive system, my immune system is like so on point right now. I'm eliminating so easily, okay, that I don't even need to drink my juice to push everything through. Sometimes I've had to. Sometimes you guys will have to drink the juice to push stuff through because you still have stagnation. I'm going to my 4th year. Okay, and I still sometimes will need, because through my hormonal changes to my period, the hormones will kind of like stop the muscles or make the muscles more sluggish when it comes to pooping out stuff. So that's why women do experience either diarrhea or constipation on their period. Well, this month I had an interesting healing process, and today is supposed to get my period. I'd be surprised if I get it tomorrow. I'd be surprised if I get it today. I don't know. But I did have a major drop in sugar for a minute where I was so hungry. I was eating a bunch of carrots. Been sleeping a lot. Yes, because when you sleep, your body is trying to repair. Been exposed to some of the viruses that are out there. So the body going through that process, was in a hospital for 12 hours waiting for somebody's diagnosis. So I've been exposed to all the viruses in that community all in one place for 12 freaking hours. And I was eating from the cafeteria. So you know that there is germs everywhere. And I didn't get sick. Okay, my body felt the change from being exposed to that environment, and I adapted to it. I may have blown my nose a lot more, I may have ate a lot more and pooped out a lot more, but ultimately all that food and nutrients strengthened my body, and I don't have leaky gut or malabsorption, so I was able to get benefit from those nutrients. And that's the ultimate way. This is the ultimate way that you want to deal with Jilly Juice. You want to end up where your hair looks great, where your skin looks great, where you're speaking very clearly, where you can process concepts, where you can make connections, where things that you didn't even see a connection with, because everything is connected, where you understand humanity. You understand why the press does this. You understand why the government does this. You understand that it's about personal accountability. We have 7 billion people on this planet, and a lot of them should not be living because Mother Nature did not deem them really viable, but modern medicine has given people a stay of execution. The vaccines and modern medicine and biotech has given you guys a stay of execution. Some of you don't even appreciate the fact that you were able to live even despite Mother Nature saying, hey, I don't think you should live because you have all these predispositions. But man wanted to give you a chance. Okay? And so now that you have your life, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to like waste it away on activism and protesting your government? Or are you going to change your society from within? Are you going to demonize Monsanto and chemtrails and all these different companies, these vaccine companies that you have no idea where they came from as far as these viruses? They could potentially, yeah, they're studying these viruses in the environment because they know that it's out there. And then, yes, people are weaponizing it. Biological warfare does exist. I was in the military. That was one of the main things they talked about in our Operation Readiness exercise one summer camp, because I was in the reserves or the Air National Guard. We had to wear hazmat suits. Chem warfare. They called it chem warfare. So I was wearing a chem warfare outfit trying to cook, okay, or something back in the 1990s. So they know about chem warfare and hazmat type of stuff way back then. They knew that China and Russia and all these different countries that are communist, when they're studying bacteria, and then we have spies in different countries as well. They have spies here, we have spies over there. Then we create patents so we can then get ahead of the game and then be able to find a vaccine. So when someone releases a virus into the environment, like someone from China that comes into America and they're all spewing everywhere and communicable, now we have the ability to research a vaccine. But why did we have the vaccine ready? Because we didn't know when this was going to get released. Would it make sense to put money towards something that isn't going to happen right off the bat? So now we have a patent, right? Bill Gates and all this have a patent. So now they're taking the actual genome, because it hasn't mutated, and they're going to derive a type of vaccine to give you a preemptive exposure so you don't have rapid accumulating antibodies from exposure. All right. And then, yes, you will inject yourself and then get some kind of reaction. Whatever it is, inflammation is going to happen. But it's better to roll the dice with a vaccine than to roll the dice and be exposed to someone who is so communicable, like that guy in Hong Kong, who is aging, has so much predispositions, and was just coughing so much and so much mucus. Which means that's an aggressive amount of virus antibodies that is being spread everywhere. So when you're healthier, when you adapt to that virus, you're not going to be as communicable. the virus essentially stops with you. Okay? So that's how you stop a pandemic, is then when you get exposed to that vaccine or that virus and you're very strong no matter what, you're not going to be so communicable and you're not going to be spreading it around. But you have so many weak people that don't want to get a vaccine, but they're going to try their luck and be exposed to someone who's shedding potentially. And you have no idea then how they're going to react to even that attenuated version that's in the vaccine that a person who is weak will potentially shed. Yes, that is correct. So, no matter what, you can't live in a bubble. And so you can try. And so here's the thing. Those that are vaccinated are going to be the ones that are going to take the bullet for you and dilute the severity of it. And so even if you are around them and you get some kind of version of it, it won't be as bad because they took the brunt of it. Biotech watered it down and gave you a lesser version. And then relative to how strong or weak you are, will make it to where it's strong or weak. And that's difficult because, yeah, when you give a vaccine to somebody and they're weak and they're sputing everywhere and they're communicable and all that stuff, then and you get exposed to them, I mean, it's still a lesser version, but I don't know, the person can mutate it. And that's why you have so many different versions of the same thing, because weak bodies will mutate the viruses. So that's why I'm part of these groups, pharmaceutical groups and virology groups, to understand what it is that they're doing to research and to figure out how to pump up their stock price. Okay, so they figured out that the genome hasn't changed, and they're going to use the one that's in Wuhan, and so that's what they're going to use to then create this vaccine. And so it's a race between Moderna and Inoxio, or I forget, Inovio, and Merck, and some other biotech companies. So it's a race to see who is going to have the first vaccine. And they should, because you know why? Those that are that weak will need to have something, because let me tell you, the anxiety in the community when they know that there's an aggressive virus that's rampant, people are going to lose their minds if they don't have some kind of vaccine to quell the anxiety. I mean, you see the conflict between the pro-vax and the anti-vax, right? The pro-vax like, oh my God, you guys are killing us. The anti-vax are like, oh my God, you guys are killing us. But I'm telling you, the ones that are pro-vax are actually lessening and deadening the blow for those that are anti-vax, because the anti-vaxxers are very, very weak. That's why they can't do any vaccine, or they feel that they can't do any vaccine, because they've been what they call vaccine injured. Really, they have predispositions, and no matter what they would have been exposed, it would have been an adverse reaction in the environment or in a vaccine. It wouldn't matter. But those that do get the vaccines are very strong. So it's like the strong versus the weak. And if you're an anti-vaxxer, you're weak. You just got to know that. Okay? I was there too, so I understand where you're coming from. But at some point, you're going to have to strengthen yourself and your body. If not, no matter what's going to happen, you will succumb to your environment because you can't adapt. So the whole Jilly Juice will help you adapt to the changing conditions, financially, biologically, physically, environmentally, all of that. And if you can't handle the pain or the healing process and don't want to stick with it because life is too tempting out there, all the different distractions that are so much more fun than actually healing, then good luck. Good luck. You have no one to blame but yourself, and you'll go down with the ship with everybody else. So you have this choice with J-Juice. You really do. And I'm going to be around for a while, barring anything, freak. Okay? And I feel 100% amazing. This is what ultimately I wanted to be 10 years ago. If I was like this 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be doing something totally different. But my whole, what is it? My purpose in life is to empower people who didn't think they have enough power in their life and they turn to outside sources. My purpose in life is to have you empower yourself from within, and that way you can then exude and project power out there to then make a difference in other people's lives. Because the answer isn't out there. The answer isn't in somebody else's thought process, really. The answer is in here. You have every ability to align your body, mind, and spirit and be on this earth indefinitely, exemplifying balance. Okay? The answer isn't out there. The answer is in here, And then the world that you create is from how balanced or imbalanced you are. So if your world sucks and you're always dealing with stupid stuff and you're always going through trauma and fluctuations in your emotions, it's because you have imbalances. Okay? So the whole point of J Juice is to balance out your body, mind, and spirit. And then you will, whatever you do is going to be amazing, and you will compete at a higher level than somebody else. You will not be a victim of circumstances. And that's the whole point of J Juice is, you know, you're not a victim of circumstances. You can control every aspect of your life, and then roll with the punches when it comes to things that you cannot control. You'll adapt. Because you can't control Trump. You can't control Pelosi. You can't control the world leaders out there, but you can adapt to the environment, whatever that is. And you won't be afraid. No fear. And you'll find jobs. If this job doesn't work out, or this company isn't working out, you'll find something different. You know why? Because you have the know-how. You have the strength. You have the stick-to-itiveness. You have the desire to freaking survive. Okay? So, so the capacity and the ability to adapt is probably the biggest takeaways of Jilly Juice. But if you know, you have to kind of know, see the benefits in the beginning of J Juice to understand the power of what could be, what potentially it could be for you. And I'm telling you, a lot of you could be so much more powerful if you just got out of your own way. So as far as why people die and why Jilly Juice works, okay? Why do people die is because they have too many excessive antibodies. So you have imbalances in your body, mind, and spirit, but in your fatty acids, amino acids, prohormones, and minerals, then you have antibody buildup. And when you have antibody buildup, it then causes anomalous misfirings in the messages between all of your different systems. And that's why you have cancer, disease, and chronic illness and destruction of your different systems. And then you have all these different symptoms. And then what happens is that what do people die from? They die from too many antibodies destroying. And so what happens is it clogs up the blood, causes heart attacks. It makes too much fluid in your lungs, so you choke on your own spit or whatever. You have too many antibodies in your blood to where it blocks then the brain oxygen. So then you have a stroke and you die. So that's what people die from, is too much antibody accumulation. From antibiotics. What are antibiotics? From things that are causing imbalances in your fatty acid, amino acid, prohormones, and minerals. And then you already have malnutrition and stagnation. And so you're not releasing the way you should. And you're accumulating until one day the body can't take any more accumulation or something. And that's when people die from strokes and heart attacks. Or they make wrong decisions and they put themselves in situations to where the outcome is death. Okay, so that guy, Bruce Wilmot, people want to try to tie me to his death. He died from too much antibody accumulation. Okay, the salt didn't kill him because salt alone isn't poisonous. You drink water. But what happens is when you only have salt but nothing else, it's an energizing force that if he just drank salt water, which he didn't do, he drank the Jilly Juice. But when people do salt water flushes, what happens is it energizes the immune system to try to fix things. So then what happens, it steals resources from the hair, skin, and nails and the bones to then repair the vital organs. But if you don't have enough, see, that's the thing, he could have, even if he did salt water, he could have had enough, because he could have had still enough of the bones and enough of the hair and the skin to keep his vital organs going. But the reason why Bruce Wilmot died is because he had too many years of antibody accumulation and destruction to all of 11 different systems, and he's in the hospice, so the system had nothing, couldn't do anything for him. He just passed away because of his choices in life. He was already there. So Jilly Juice, when you do the Jilly Juice, it actually is a probiotic, so it would not kill anyone because it's a probiotic. Okay, Jilly Juice is not poisonous. So when people die, it's because they have utilized almost every resource in the body, and there is no therapy to where you start massaging your hormones to do something, or you're trying to steal resources from different parts of the body to repair vital organs. When your body doesn't have enough of those resources to do that, that's when people start going downhill, and you start seeing the weight drop, and they have no impetus, no strength to do anything except lay there and just pass away. So if you are alive, you have the ability to strengthen your body. Though right now, some people are steadily wasting away. I mean, when you're doing the saltwater flushes and you have leaky gut, you're just energizing your immune system to steal resources from your hair, skin, and nails. And so that's why you see the aging process. When people are doing the cryotherapy or jumping into pools of cold water or sauna therapies or hot yoga, they're creating more antibodies because there's an imbalance in the temperature, and it's causing then the body to steal resources. And that's why you see people who are in these therapies looking aged. Okay? When people actually look their age and they have gray hair or they have no hair or their skin is all saggy and you see them aging, that's because they are practicing types of foods and therapies that are destroying their body. The body is trying to steal resources to keep the vital organs alive, because you can't see someone's vital organs, but you can see their hair, skin, and nails. You can see their face. You can hear how they have osteoporosis because their bones are so porous because of the way in which they live their life. When you're basically cannibalizing your body until there's nothing left, that's basically the aging process. So the J juice is totally, completely opposite of that. But you have to go through the pain. So anyways, so people die from sepsis. They die from too many antibodies. They die from just, even a weak heart, and then it gets exposed to a virus. So that's why, people are afraid of the vaccines, because they're afraid of too much antibody accumulation. But if you're weak anyways, it won't matter if you meet that virus in a vaccine or in the environment, you're going to die anyways. So you might as well just strengthen your body and stop rolling the dice and stop being afraid. Fear is what makes somebody weak. So that's why the press leaves me alone, because they know they're teetering too. They have predispositions in their family. Look at the people that talk smack about me. Alcoholics, they have autism in the family. Super, super skinny. They're in their highlight of their life writing articles and slamming people, but they know that look at their parents and see their parents' predispositions. Okay? So none of these reporters out there can afford to slam me when they have so many issues that they're going to be someday meeting at some point. And they don't know when it's going to trigger. That's the whole point of J juice, is you trigger things preemptively and you take care of it. But these reporters don't know when they're going to be triggering their predispositions, and it could be sooner rather than later, and karma does get them. Okay? So now you guys have control over your future with the J juice. And that testimony of that 18-year-old, 17-year-old who started the J juice has now finally gone through all the crap that she ever went through, the IBS and all these different diseases that she was diagnosed with. And now she can comfortably go into a career without risking a predisposition coming to surface and completely knocking her off her path. I really feel bad for those that are in college right now. Their parents have predispositions, major ones, major autoimmune disorders or drug abuse in their background. And they're going to college as if they're going to have this wonderful career, and they might have a wonderful career for the next maybe 5 or 10 years, maybe, if they don't trigger something in the middle. And then they trigger something in their 20s or in their 30s or in their 40s, and now they have to go and spend money on all these different treatments and knocking them off their game, or they can't take on a job, their dream job, because they're too busy dealing with their health issues. How many people I've seen in their 40s get knocked off their pedestal because of an autoimmune disorder? I've seen too much. And so you can predict when someone's going to have an issue just by looking at the parents, the lifestyle, the predispositions, and then you know that kid's going to be dealing with that at some point, sooner if not later, because remember, compound predispositions. So Jilly Juice will have you be like a fortune teller in a lot of ways too, because you can tell what someone's future is going to be like just by looking at their lifestyle, as well as what happened to their parents, because an apple does not fall far from the tree unless you change that trajectory. So if you don't blow your nose a lot, or at least twice or 3 times a day, you are taking in all of the imbalances in your environment. Because when you blow your nose, or when you cough or whatever, it's the body releasing any excess. It's a calibration methodology. Okay? It's kind of cold down here, that's why. Because the cold will also cause antibodies. And that's the energy source to keep everything going. So anyway, so do the J juice. You'll feel tons of energy. Do the J juice, do the cabbage, do the kale. Try to stick to the diet. Try to avoid alcohol and drugs, but I know you're going to have to do whatever you got to do as a transition. And I'll tell you, I had to go through that transition too. And this thing with the pandemics, it happens every, 100 years, at least once a century, a pandemic. A tipping point where there's too many humans out there, there's so many weaknesses, there's going to be a virus. It's going to take out, a third of the population, 2/3 of the population. It's going to happen. And so now you have to arm yourself. Because remember, agility juice is a balancing force. We have too many antibiotics being served up by the holistic allopathic community. It's causing people to die sooner, if not later. And so the agility juice is a balancing force. It gives you the option to live if you can handle it. Okay, some people can do it, but they just can't handle the healing process. It's easier to go down with the ship than it is to fight. And I get it, and I believe me, I don't fault you for that. But don't slam me in the meantime. So, anyways, just food for thought for the day as we are working our way into the season as far as this virus that's out there. And there's going to be a lot more casualties out there. Okay, I mean, just watching what coming out of China is pretty scary. There's going to be people talking about, we have a presumptive case in Ireland and in Scotland and in, this state, that state, the Northeast here in Ohio. We're going to be dealing with it at some point. I mean, we're not going to be immune to it. I mean, it's going to be all over. I mean, viruses, you can't escape them. They will make their way into whatever. You can't live in a bubble. You can't live hermetically sealed. You have to strengthen your body to handle the change in the environment. And the coronavirus is a change in the environment, and you will adapt or you won't. Any virus is a change in the environment. I don't care if it's a flu virus or if it's anything else. It's a change in the environment. And if you don't have the means to adapt, then you will succumb. And if you do, great. Share that strength with everybody else. Have a great day. Nice to see all of you. Bye.